friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Gallie and I are here today to talk to you about a book that we're really excited about. So this is a book that I got a chance to read a little bit earlier because I got an advanced reader copy, and it just actually came out last week. So it is available, you guys can read it now, and I'm really happy, and I hope that you guys will want to read it and be super excited about it, because I think this is one of those books that will appeal to a wide variety of different readers. Okay, so this book is The Lost Story by Meg Shaffer. The Lost Story. Now, look at that cover. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? You've got this gorgeous tree, a door in the tree. Now, Meg Shaffer is the author of The Wishing Game, which came out, I think last year is when I read it, and I really enjoyed that book. But this one absolutely blows that one out of the water. So this is a standalone book, and it's really heavily inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia. So even if you've never read the Chronicles of Narnia, I know you've definitely heard the story about a group of children who go in through the back of this magical wardrobe and end up in this fantasy world, right? So this book takes that idea of, you know, what happens when children go into a world different than ours, and what happens to them when they come back? What is it like when they are adults? Can they go back to that world? Should they go back to that world? And, you know, what would you do, basically, if you were in that position? So I think all of us at one point or another have imagined or wished or fantasized about falling through a wardrobe or a portal or something like that and ending up in a different world, right? I think that's just a general fantasy that people have no matter what, right? So this book is a little bit difficult to define, because I think definitely it's definitely a little bit fantasy, obviously, but it's also a little bit fairy tale. But most of the book takes place in the here and now, this world. So I think that, you know, it could also be considered literary fiction too. So it's a wide variety of different genres. I think it can appeal to so many different people. And if you love fairy tales, if you like fantasy stories, if you love stories with really interesting characters, because the characters in this book are so great. So, what is the story about, basically? So it is about these two boys, Jeremy and Rafe, who have gone, in the beginning of the story, they've gone missing in West Virginia. They're lost in the forests of West Virginia. They're gone for quite a long time. Everybody thinks they're dead. But then they appear again. Rafe is covered in scars, he's covered in wounds, and neither of them will talk about what happened to them. Now, it's been 16 years since then. It's been 16 years since that happened, and Rafe is an artist. He still has these internal wounds that he doesn't talk about, as well as these external scars. He is an artist, he lives isolated, doesn't really talk to anyone, including Jeremy. He's not in touch with Jeremy anymore. Jeremy, on the other hand, has become and built this big name for himself in finding lost things. So now, maybe because of his experience of being lost and coming back again, he now has this ability to track down missing people, find lost objects, and he is famous for that. So in the beginning of this story, Jeremy is approached by a young woman named Emily, who wants him to try to find her missing sister. Her sister, who she never knew because she was adopted, was missing and presumed dead, but she just doesn't think she's really dead. She thinks she's lost out there somewhere, because she was lost in the same forest that Jeremy and Rafe were lost in, which is part of the reason why she wants Jeremy to help her. Now, Jeremy at first is like, I don't look for people in those particular woods. I don't do that. No, we can't do it. But then when she tells him a little bit more about her sister, and she shows him, you know, a picture of her, Jeremy realizes that he actually knows her sister, and that he's come across her before in the land that he had gone missing to. Because when him and Rafe were missing, they were not just lost in the woods in West Virginia, they had traveled to a fantasy world called Shenandoah, and that's where they were. So Jeremy and Rafe now have to try to take Emily back to this world. They have to mend this rift between them, and work together to try to get back there and see if they can get her sister. So what an incredible story, right? What I loved about it, first of all, the characters were really great. I loved Emily. She cracked me up. She was hilarious. But I was really fascinated with Jeremy and Rafe and their relationship with each other, and the history between them, right? They were best friends before they went missing, and then what happened to them during their period in Shenandoah, and what happened and how they can try to repair their friendship or their relationship now that they are speaking again. This book just has so many things in it that I absolutely love. It's written in a very whimsical, flowing way that is just absolutely beautiful. If you are, like I said, the characters, phenomenal. I loved them so much. There was a lot of character development, especially with Rafe and Jeremy, that I just absolutely adored. If you are a person that really is character driven, I think you will absolutely adore this story. If you are a person that loves fairy tales and fantasy, I think you'll love it just for the novelty of, you know, that whole Narnia connection of, you know, what if these people get lost in this fantasy world and they come back and they want to go back again, and how does it affect them and stuff like that. But what I also found really interesting is that a lot of stories like this, and including Narnia, right, take place in England, and these portals are going, you know, they're in England. Well, this Shenandoah is very, very American. And I love the thought of there being a fantasy world that we can access even just right, you know, in our own country, in our own backyard. That magic exists everywhere if you just know where to look for it and you know how to look for it. So this is a story of things that are lost and then found again, the story of relationships and friendships and love, and, you know, how Shenandoah has come to be is something that is discussed later on in the story, but that is kind of a spoiler and I don't really want to get into that now, but I will say it is very, very fascinating and is something that has had me thinking ever since I finished this book. So, like I said, this is a story that I think has a lot of appeal, a lot of wide appeal. A lot of people will really enjoy it. It's a light, fun story, but it also has a lot of deeper themes as well. It's very well written, and the characters are absolutely fantastic. So if you're looking for a new book to read, definitely give this one a try, because I absolutely adored it and thought it was fantastic. The Lost Story by Meg Shaffer. Well, that's what we've got for you guys today. I hope that you're just as excited about reading this book as I have been to talk about it. If so, please feel free to come check it out from Farmington Community Library. And also thank you so very, very much for watching, friends. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.